And here's Mr. Preston.
Thanks, guys. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. We're all happy to have everyone back in the building here at Jefferson High School. As we move forward and the thoughts of more e-learning and so on and so forth, as well as being back in the building, we wanted to give everyone a few reminders. First of all, and right off the bat here, if you are in quarantine for any reason, whether that be school-related that you're in quarantine or for a reason outside of school, you are considered present at school and you're responsible for all work while you're in quarantine. So whether you're in quarantine for 4 days or 14 days, you are required to make up all work that you've missed. One way to avoid being put into quarantine is to avoid being in close contact. As you know, being within 6 feet of someone for more than 15 minutes makes you a close contact. So remind your teachers of this on days in which maybe there are fewer people in your classroom and you can move around the classroom to ensure social distancing. The other thing would be in the lunchroom, before school, after school, those sorts of things, is to avoid being in close contact of anyone. And I think the one thing to remind yourself of is to assume that everyone is positive. If you assume everyone is positive, then you are going to take the right steps to protect yourself and to be social distanced. I think it is very likely at some point all schools in the county and most likely in the state will move to e-learning at some point. So we need to be prepared for that. If we do move to e-learning again, Zoom attendance for all classes will be a requirement. And there'll be a requirement at the beginning of each of those periods for the first 45 minutes. All of your teachers are going to spend time practicing these things with you over the next week or so to make sure that you're ready. And you need to ensure that you know what all of your teachers' expectations are related to e-learning. The biggest thing I think you need to understand is the difference between what we went through in the spring and what we're going through now. So in the spring, nobody was ready anywhere for 9 weeks worth of e-learning. We are now prepared and ready to do that. So things are going to be a lot different. The rigor is going to be higher, expectations are going to be higher, all of those things. And that means as students, you've got to step up to the plate. So just because we're moving to e-learning doesn't mean we're going to lower our expectations. Those expectations in terms of getting your work done, staying on top of your work, all of those things are going to stay the same as if we were in school. The one thing the state of Indiana has made very clear is, as opposed to last spring in which seniors were given a free pass, that is not going to happen. Seniors will have to meet all of the requirements as normal to earn the credits required for graduation. So keep that in mind. Last thing you want to do, seniors, is find yourself behind credits going into your last semester. The other piece of that is underclassmen. We are not going to balance 9 weeks grades like we did in the spring, where, for example, first 9 weeks would be worth 75% of your semester grade. Second 9 weeks would be worth 25% of your semester grade. We're not going to do that this time. So you're going to be required to do all of the work required to earn the credit in each of your classes. There'll be no free passes for anyone, no rebalancing of grades. You're going to see some changes in your classrooms going forward to help eliminate the need to quarantine students due to being close contacts. So there'll be no partner work or group work in any classes going forward, and lab classes will look much differently than they have previously. Teachers are going to have to be much more creative to ensure that students aren't close contacts. The biggest change that you're going to see beginning today is in the lunchroom. The previous plan did not work, and we believe that if students are passing the virus to each other in the building, it's most likely in the cafeteria when they're not wearing masks. So in conjunction with recommendations of the health department, we're doing everything we can to keep kids 6 feet apart during lunch when they're not wearing masks. So you may only sit in seats where there's a green X. You may not move tables or chairs, and you must remain seated unless you are going to the lunch line, restroom, or vending machines. When not seated, you must have a mask on. All of these things are in place to keep us in the building and to avoid having to quarantine students as close contacts. Finally, can't stress this enough, Stay home if you are sick or anyone in your home is having flu-like symptoms. That includes fever, chills, dry cough, nasal congestion. So what we saw before Thanksgiving was kids coming to school with mild symptoms and then testing positive, which required us to quarantine large numbers of kids. If you're having any symptoms, dry cough, nasal congestion, even mild in nature, you need to stay home. Stay home if anyone in your home is waiting on test results due to symptoms or exposure to a positive individual. The most important thing we can do is wear a mask, social distance to avoid the spread, as well as to need to quarantine as a close contact, and to avoid indoor social gatherings where masks cannot be worn. Both the Indiana State Department of Health and our local health department say the biggest spread of the virus right now is in these social gatherings in which masks cannot be worn. Finally, we do have some light at the end of the tunnel. I think we're all aware there's a vaccine on the way, but that vaccine is still 4 or 5 months away from being readily available to adults. So we need to stay the course, and we all have to make sacrifices during this time. And I know we're all tired of this. We all have COVID fatigue. But in order to stay in school, in order to have the things that we like associated with school, we've got to stay the course. Social distance, wear a mask, avoid social gatherings. I think that is it. Stay safe and stay positive, Broncos.